everyone, and welcome back to the She Who Leads podcast. I'm your host, Daniela Varga, and in today's episode, I am bringing you 4 different ways that you can get closer to your purpose, your soul pull, figure out what is that thing, what is that service that you can provide for others. So, without any further ado, let's just dive in. So, this concept, this 4-path concept, I actually learned from my mentor, Sahara Rose, when I did the Dharma coaching course. And I wanted to share this and also help you see how that actually applies to the soul business, how each path can translate into either a business idea or a new product or a service in your business. Because I think that is something that it's easy to get hung up on, right? It's really easy to get hung up on, oh, I am not starting the business because I don't know how I actually help people, or I have the business, but I'm not sure, is this the right way? And this is where all the questions about what is my niche? Should I niche more down? Should I focus on this segment? Should I focus on that segment? Should I bring this service or not? Should I create that product or not? These are the questions that are raised because we are not sure how we are actually helping people, what we are here to do, right? Like a soul pull, like I talk about this a lot, is basically a unique thing that only we are able to bring into this world, that unique value that we are the only ones that are able to provide the shifts, the transformations. We all have that. We all are here with a very unique purpose to fulfill. And when you are more clear on that, and I purposefully did not use the word clear on that, but more clear, or that you have more clarity around that, it will be much easier to navigate the business. It will be much easier to navigate who you are serving, because you have a sense of knowing, a little bit of clarity, a little bit more clarity on actually what you can use either from your past or from yourself. And those actually are usually mixing together, that you can actually build in the business as a service, or as a way of communicating with people, as a way of creating content that will translate into bringing in the soul clients, bringing in the people who are actually ready to work with you or buy from you. So these are the paths that will help you with that. So what is the first one? The first one is basically owning on your gifts. And what I mean by that is getting as clear as you can on who you are, meaning what are the different capabilities that you have, what are the different attributes that you have, and how those are valuable and how that translate into the business. And that is a very big topic in itself. That's something that we usually focus on multiple sessions with my clients, because it's just so important and so intricate in a sense, because the relationship with ourselves is always complicated because of the different self-image wounds that we have, because of the different traumas that we experience. So we tend to not really see ourselves clearly. We tend to not actually see our full potential, which I experience so much with my clients. Like, the most amazing people come to me with the most amazing gifts and abilities, and they just seemingly are blind to them. It's always surprises me. And to be honest, I am the same with myself. Like, I actually a lot of the times need outside perspective to be able to see, but actually what you are doing is great. Like, what you are capable with that is not something that everyone else is capable of doing. Because this is the thing with gifts, we tend to be a bit blind to them. We tend to either set them aside because they are not the popular gifts that society believes that are, talents, like singing or dancing or, I don't know, drawing or whatever. So we don't even consider them as gifts. And because we don't consider them as gifts, we don't nurture them. And gifts are something that you need to nurture. So everything, like a garden, like a flower, like trees, whatever, they need nurturing to grow tall and big and strong. Those are the things with the capabilities that you have. So figuring out what you are capable of, what your gifts are, the specific gifts that you have, is one step. The other step is trusting those gifts and nurturing those gifts, and then trusting those gifts so you can actually use them to help people. So, for example, one of my gifts is intuition, but until a couple of years ago, I didn't even know that I had this type of intuition, that I had the capability to use my intuition in a way I am using right now. And just a side note, everyone has intuition and everyone can use their intuition. But again, like, we are all different, and some people are more gifted with something and some people not. And again, I'm not saying that you're not gifted with intuition. I'm just telling you that another gift of mine is expression or writing. Like, those come quite easy to me, but because they came very easy to me, like, for example, writing, I didn't really consider them as a gift because, well, like, I believe that it's easy for me, so that must mean that it's easy for everyone else, right? And that's not the case. A lot of the time, people don't know how to write, and there are a full-blown business built around that, right? Like, there's so many writing coaches and people who help people enhance their writing. So that's just one example. That's a very, like, hands-on example. But back to my intuition, that was something that I didn't even know existed, in a sense. I always know that I was receptive to others' energies, but I didn't really understand how much and how to actually use that. So I really needed to train my intuition and learn how to use it. And I'm still in the process of training my intuition. So I am actually able to open up those gifts and help people on a different level with my business. And that's where, again, like, the nurturing part comes in to the business, because knowing the gifts that you have is amazing. Great. Start with those. That will give you a very good pointer on which directions you can take, for example, with a business. So going back to my capabilities, so I always know I am good with words. I always knew I am very good with connecting with people. I'm very good with connecting people one on one. I have this ability to explain things in a way that somehow helps people shift. Like, it's just helps them shift perspectives that they weren't able to shift before, or see things in a different way, and which actually translates into different actions. So I have this ability, I have this capability. I am very empathetic. I always have been. I really, really love to work with people. I love to connect deeply with people. So those are capabilities that I have, which actually were a very good pointer for me to, oh, okay, when my next phase of my soul pool started to show itself, that, oh, so maybe, like, coaching can be something that I could try and see where that leads me, because I actually have all of the capabilities that would make a good coach, right? I'm very good at asking questions. I'm very good at asking the right questions. So that's why actually figuring out what you're capable, what your gifts are, is a very, very, very good way of figuring out, okay, how can I actually help people? And I really am, like, inviting you not to actually try to force your gifts into a profession. For me, it wasn't even happening in this way. I already was in marketing, and I already had my marketing business, and I was already working with people one-on-one. I was already mentoring people one-on-one. So actually the coaching tools came in as a desire for me to able to help people on a deeper level, which actually diverted me into coaching. But it wasn't like, oh, I am actually good in this and this and this and that, so that must mean I must be a coach. I'm calling myself a coach because I don't have a better word for it, but I can easily call myself a healer. I could call myself an intuitive. I can call myself so many different ways. It's not about the label that you, again, want to put on yourself. And I actually made an episode about this last week, which is nicely fits in here. So go back and listen back to why that actually hurts a lot, why it hurts you to label yourself, and how it actually like hinders your process in a way. So I would advise against that. Just like really see, okay, what are my gifts? Like, what are my gifts that I can either figure out or either nurture? And if I start to nurture these, like, where can that lead me? What are some options? Either like, what are some problems that I can solve with these gifts, right? Like, who are people who actually need the gifts that I have? Those could be good questions. Again, you don't really want to expect yourself to have like a direct answer. Just the whole process of figuring out what you are gifted at will already start the process of you heading down your soul path, soul pool, because your soul path, soul pool is nothing more than you using your God-given gifts that your soul chose for you very deliberately to create something. That's it. And when you do that, when you figure out your gifts and then you nurture them and then you use them, you will inevitably create the things that you are meant to create. And when you create those within the business, and again, that could be a service, that could be a webinar, that could be a podcast that you are starting to create because you have some gifts that you want to talk about, or you have a gift in organization and you love to talk about organizing stuff, and you just like love, you know, so much about that because you have this gift and you already, like, I don't know, organized everything so beautifully in your life in a sustainable way. You talk about that in a podcast. Like, that's something that calls to you. That can be a way into the business. That can be actually incorporating it into the business. That feels natural. That feels good. And how you are integrating it and not forcing it on something, right? Like, again, that is something that we very specifically work in the coachings, because when you are like clear on your gifts and how you can use them, that will make the business so much more clearer too. And to be honest, these gifts usually tend to translate into how you can create the business the best, like perfectly. Basically, what type of content is best for you to create, what channels is the best for you to use, how you can connect the best with your clients. Those usually all comes from your gifts and who you are. And it's a very, very important foundational piece to figuring out who you are. Okay, the second path to getting closer to your soul pool and your soul pool business is basically sharing your story. And that is coming from the breakdowns that you alchemized into learnings and lessons and shifts in your life, changes in your life that actually had an amazing and positive impact on your experiences and what you created for yourself, right? And these are usually specifically heavy, sometimes painful experiences that we go through. Again, the soul chose those very deliberately because the soul knew exactly that those will be the breakdowns that you then can alchemize into stories that inspire people or solutions that help people with something that they are struggling, something that you maybe already also struggled with. And this was the breakdown was something that helped you overcome that. Or a breakdown can even come from you having a divorce out of the blue, and then finding love, finding an even deeper love after that, or losing your spouse, and going through grief, and going through that whole process, and then finding a second, not second chance, but finding again like another love that is just as deep, and also in a way of you like honoring the spouse that passed on. So there's just so many different ways, so many different breakdowns that we can have. We can have a breakdown emotionally, we can have a breakdown mentally, we can even have a breakdown, like physically, meaning like you found yourself on the street. There's so many. I'm not sure I remember his name. I think it's Geraint someone. I'm so sorry. But he actually has a very similar story, that he was basically homeless. Like he got to a point where he was homeless, and then he got into jail, and how he actually got himself up from that, and even like in the jail, like learned how to feel free even when he was in the jail, and then learning to tap into his artistic and creative power. And now we actually have programs and mentorships helping others tap into their creative artistic power. Like, those are very inspirational stories. His one is a very inspirational story because it makes you believe that anything is possible, and it gives people hope in times when they are in need of hope the most. It gives power, it gives people empowerment. The stories that you can share from these breakdowns are the stories that will help people pick themselves up in the moments that they feel like everything is lost and they have no energy and no willpower, and they will find the strengths because your stories, because you alchemized something that you went through into gold, basically. So that is the second path. And a lot of the healers tend to choose this. I chose this in a lot of sense. Like really my breakup, like going through my breakup with my ex was a very big breakdown that I had, where I actually like literally lost who I was. Like, I needed to lose myself completely in order to start to figure out who I was and finding myself in again, like in a new and in a stronger way, and actually figuring out that how much I did not love myself, and then learning step by step how I can actually really truly love myself and put myself first, and cater to my needs. And everything basically started from that breakdown that I had, that was actually leading to a breakup. And then after the breakup, like picking my pieces together, and building myself back up in a much more stronger way than ever before. So those are very inspirational, those are very relatable. You are actually able to relate to your soul clients much better. Actually, this route provides a lot of beautiful ways to connect with your audience. So creating content is a very given in this situation. um, in Given that you are actually comfortable to share these stories, like you, and again, you should be comfortable to share these stories because those are part of you, those are part of your journey, those are part of your soul pool. If there's an issue with that, if you feel like you don't want to share that, or you cannot share that, that always goes back to self-image wounds, and feeling like you're not important, or um, having safety issues with visibility. that's also something that we usually look in on the coachings, because when you have a path like this, when you have such a powerful story to share and you have a block to share that story, that will actually block you figuring out your soul pool and building the business around that, because that's a very important part on how you can actually have an effect, how you can actually have an impact on people. So that's something that, if you are familiar with this and you feel like, oh, but I cannot share this story because either nobody cares or I just like hurt others who were involved in this whole situation. Like, there are so many ways where we rationalize this. Healing your self-image and healing your visibility wounds is a very key thing for you to figuring out your purpose. Okay, the third third path of finding your purpose is when you actually had an obstacle or multiple obstacles. You had a problem, let's just call it that, and then you figured out a solution for yourself. And those solutions tend to be solutions that other people need too. So when we figure out problems for ourselves, those are actually not a coincidence either. Again, our soul chooses every single obstacle in a lifetime that we have, specifically for us to either come up with a solution to master a skill or a capability that we have, or just to get into a higher frequency, which basically are the result of the first two. But anyhow, so those are very much deliberate, and you wouldn't really have the solutions, and you wouldn't like, nothing is in vain in this universe. Nothing is in vain. Everything is happening for a reason. And when you basically encounter a problem and then you take the time and the effort and the focus and the energy and the devotion to figure out that problem, the universe gave you that problem because it knew that you would be able to figure that out, and that solution is needed in the world all around. So you picked up that problem because the solution that you got while figuring that problem out is the solution that people need from you specifically. Again, that is part of the soul pool, that is part of the process. And every solution that you came up with is actually amazing and wonderful and needed. And I know that a lot of the times, and I had that myself, like I was struggling with that so much that I just didn't really felt that my solutions were good enough. And that's why this route tends to be a bit rocky in a sense, because even if we come up with solutions, if we are not rooted into our value and our uniqueness, so we don't see how we are bringing unique value into this world, then we won't really see our solutions as valuable and unique. We will feel like, oh, but someone else already figured something similar out, so actually people don't need this. I won't share this and with anyone because the similar solution already exists. Or, oh yeah, but this is not as big of a problem, so people really don't want my solution for that. Or this is not the best solution for this problem, so I'm actually not sharing that because I will be just ridiculed or laughed at or whatever. These thoughts, these blocks are all coming from basically the same root of you not being rooted into the value that you are and the value that you can bring into this world. And when you solve that, when you shift that, that's something that that's basically the backbone of the coaching and the programs that I do, like really, really dialing in on your value and your unique value specifically. And when you have that, then you will realize that every single thing that you create is extremely valuable, and then people will realize the same thing. So how this road can help you is basically you, first of all, like get very rooted into your value. If you need help with that, I'm here. I'm happy to help. You can book a free clarity call and we can see like what is actually blocking you from seeing that value, and how you can like start to root into that, and then which will lead you to your soul pull. But when you have that, when you have the rootedness, just like start to see, okay, what are the different solutions that I came up with in my life? This can be, again, solutions for emotional things. Maybe you have your own solutions to setting boundaries, or you have your own solution to, I don't know, you had a problem with learning. I don't know, you had a very short attention span, or you had a bad memory, or whatever, and you came up with a way of learning. I don't know, maybe words in a different language that helps you actually retain information much better. So that can be something that other people need. Or you had, I don't know, a way of not being able to keep your home clean for a long time because you just hated cleaning, like I do. And then you came up with a solution, a way of a cleaning system that now actually helps you keep the home clean and enjoy the cleaning process. That's something very valuable. Please, if you have that, share it with me, because I hate cleaning so much, and I would love to be like have a system where I can just like be done with cleaning in like, I don't know, an hour, and then actually enjoy that process and want to do it again, because I just like hate it so much. So see, like you already have one person who would actually love that solution, and there are so many other people who would need it. But again, just really want to emphasize this because it's so important. You won't see the value in your solutions until you see your value in yourself. That's where the disconnect is most of the times, and that's what actually stops people from creating the business. Or they already have the solution, they already have amazing solutions, amazing ideas, but they're not starting the business because they feel like, oh, but that's not valuable enough. Like, who would pay for that, right? Whenever you have that question in your head, but who would pay for that, that is a clear-cut sign that you are not valuing yourself, that you are not rooted into your value. This is this clear, this straightforward. So that's a very important piece of that. And when you have that solution, you basically have a business idea. You basically have a service idea or a product idea or multiple of those. Like you can then combine and again, like combine solutions with products or whatever. Like the opportunities are endless when you actually dedicate yourself to this way of figuring out your purpose. Again, root into your value, and then you will have unlimited business ideas and ways you can help people in your business. And the fourth path is when you are seeing problems around yourself, and then you are solving those problems, or you saw a problem around you and then you solved that specific problem. And contrary to popular belief, we don't actually need to experience everything ourselves to be able to help people. Or I really want to believe that, because yes, a lot of the soul pulls are building from our own experiences. So a soul can actually choose to experience something itself and then learn the lessons and come up with the solutions and then give that solution to people. Or a soul can actually choose to, oh, okay, I am choosing to not have these problems for myself, but be around people who have these problems, be emotionally connected to this situation, because maybe that's a relative, maybe that's a loved one, maybe that's something that I just feel very strongly about. And I really, really want to solve this situation. Because the first three paths, if you like, I don't know what I wanted to say with that. But basically the two paths are always coming from the self, right? Like I have something within me that I either want to evolve or grow or solve or shift. And when I had that, I then actually provide a solution from that to people, right? I provide a service from that to people. With this fourth one, actually what the soul does is, okay, so I'm actually securing myself enough that figuring out myself and evolving myself is not coming from my own challenges and obstacles, but coming from others people challenges and obstacles. These are basically, can be, I don't know, you had as a kid, your grandma passed away from cancer maybe, and then you dedicate your life to preventing cancer maybe. Or a lot of doctors become doctors this way, right? Like they have a relative in the family who are suffering from a disease that they want to help that relative, help that loved one, and they then become like they want to study that area, so they either research it or want to cure it, or I don't know, want to come up with the solution, become dietitians so they can help their diabetic father or mother or sister or whoever. So these can be some of the examples that this can play out, but it can be basically anything else. Maybe you have a kid who has a learning disability, and then you figure out a system for your kid to learn easier, or and then you see like, oh, okay, now I can actually have a system so anyone else who has the same learning disability can actually use this system. So that's actually another good example of how this can work. Neither one is better than the other, and I tend to see that sometimes we can actually experience multiple of these paths. So I actually have experience with the first one, I have experience with the second one and the third one, and then actually as I went along with these paths, I actually realized like, oh, a lot of the things that I struggled with, like other people struggle with, and now I am actually picking up a lot of things that people are struggling with that I am maybe not, but then I actually have a solution for that. Like I can figure out like how you can shift that, how you can overcome that situation. I'm not really seeing nothing, an example of comes to mind right now, so I'm letting it slide. But what I wanted to say with this, again, don't try to put yourself in a box and label yourself like, oh, okay, I am definitely the first route, I am definitely the fourth one, I am definitely the second one. Chose one that calls you right now, and be open to the possibility that actually you can divert into another path, or maybe you need to divert into another path to have a fuller picture of your purpose. So it's more like you have four, I don't know, lanes in a highway, parallel lanes in a highway, and sometimes you go in the first lane, then you switch to the second one, then you switch back to the first one, then you switch to the fourth one. Like, kind of think about it this way, because it gives you much more freedom in how you are connecting with who you are, and how you provide value, and who you can serve the best this way, right? We, with the soul pool, we want freedom. We don't want to control it, we don't want to put it in a box, we don't want to force things on the soul pool, and also on the business that is created from that, because it is an ever evolving organic thing. As we evolve, the soul pool will evolve with us. So the moment you start to force it into something, then you like instantly closing the doors to new things and new opportunities and new ideas that could come to you if you were open to just like following basically the path as it opens up step by step. So that's why I always tell like the soul pool and the business that you're building from it, like obviously as you are more into that and more experienced with that, you can plan ahead more and more. But in the beginning, it will be more like, oh, okay, so I'm taking the step towards this. Oh, then I'm taking that step. Oh, then actually two other routes opened up. Like I am going this way for a bit. Oh, okay, now I am diverting back to the next route, to the other route, because somehow I found myself back to that. I experienced that a lot of the times. Like I let go of marketing because I told like I'm not a marketer anymore. I don't want to do anything with that, and I'm only focusing on helping people figuring out their soul pull. And then a year later, the business part just like naturally popped back and wanted to come in, and I actually started to enjoy talking about business so freaking much that I had really no choice just to go back into the business and go back into the marketing part and actually integrate the two, as far as I considered at that point, different words together. So then it became something even more unique, right? So that's how actually the uniqueness and the value that you are bringing will just grow and grow and grow more when you can really be as permissive with this whole journey as can. So this was the 4 pets. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you are pulled to from these 4 first and foremost, and let me know if you have any experience with any of these, because those, if you just like share it in the comment, that can actually start to spark some ideas. Oh, okay, like what can be my purpose, because you take the time and just like condense it into a comment and a story. So that can be a very good exercise for you to see, okay, what comes up while I'm sharing this. And also, because you are sharing it, you're already putting yourself in this energy of, I have something to offer, like I have something that I experienced, or something that I am, that is obviously everything you are is worthy to share. But like when you are really like physically sharing it, you're building it in as an ingredient of, oh, I'm actually have something of value to share and give. So please do that in the comments. Also, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer those too. And if you have anyone who you feel like would benefit from this episode, who you feel like, oh, this is something that I would love to share with this person because this will just spark something in them, please do that. You are helping them so much, and also you are helping me fulfill my purpose. And if you want help to figure out yours and help in starting to build your own soul business, which is built on your soul pool, your purpose, then you can grab a free discovery call, link in the description below, where we can look into where you are in this journey right now and what are the steps that could be taken right now to get clearer on, okay, how can I actually build a business around my purpose, or how can I get clearer on what my purpose could be. Okay, thank you so much for being here, and I see you in the next one. Bye.